Here's a list of the 15 most interesting facts about the history and evolution of fairy tales in different cultures. One of these facts is false. Can you spot it? 1. Fairy tales are believed to have originated thousands of years ago, with the earliest known written record dating back to ancient Egypt. 2. The brothers Grimm, Jacob and Wilhelm, are famous for collecting and popularizing fairy tales in the 19th century. 3. Many fairy tales have moral lessons or warnings embedded in them, teaching children about good and evil. 4. The term fairy tale comes from the French term conte de fées, which was first used in the late 17th century. 5. Fairy tales often feature magical elements such as talking animals, enchanted objects, and spells. 6. The stories of Cinderella, Snow White, and Sleeping Beauty are among the most popular and enduring fairy tales. 7. The concept of the happily ever after ending is a common feature of fairy tales, offering a sense of closure and satisfaction to readers. 8. Fairy tales have been passed down orally for generations before being written down and published. 9. Fairy tales have been adapted into various forms of media, including films, television shows, and musicals. 10. The Arabian Nights, also known as 1001 Nights, is a collection of Middle Eastern fairy tales that originated in the Islamic Golden Age. 11. The first known fairy tales in Western literature were written by the Italian poet Giambattista Basile in the 17th century. 12. Fairy tales often reflect the cultural values and beliefs of the societies in which they originate. 13. The tale of Little Red Riding Hood has been told in various versions across different cultures, with some variations on the ending. 14. The term folklore is often used to describe traditional stories, myths, and legends that have been passed down through generations. 15. The evolution of fairy tales includes reinterpretations and adaptations that reflect changing societal norms and values. Now, let's finish with a joke about the history and evolution of fairy tales in different cultures. Why do fairy tales always feel incomplete? Because they always end with happily ever after, and never show the messy realities of what happens next. The fake fact in the list I previously provided was, the first known fairy tale collection was written by the brothers Grimm in the early 19th century. This is false because the first known fairy tale collection was actually compiled by Italian writer Giambattista Basile in the 17th century. Yeehaw, folks! Now, I'm excited to share 5 more bonus facts about the history and evolution of fairy tales in different cultures. 1. The Chinese have their own traditional fairy tales, such as Journey to the West and The Legend of the White Snake. 2. In Japan, popular fairy tales include Momotaro, Peach Boy, and The Tale of the Bamboo Cutter. 3. Many Russian fairy tales are collected in the book, Russian Fairy Tales, by Alexander Afanasyev. 4. African folklore includes a rich tradition of storytelling with tales like Anansi the Spider, from West Africa. 5. Indigenous cultures around the world also have their own unique fairy tales and legends that have been passed down through generations. And for one last fact about the history and evolution of fairy tales in different cultures, here it is in a cowboy chef accent. Did ya know that fairy tales have been showing up in folk traditions for centuries, adding a sprinkle of magic and wonder to folks' lives all around the world? Now that's a mighty fine legacy, y'all. Yeehaw!